I'm delighted to say we're going to discuss with Spencer Green, managing partner at TSVC, which actually has invested in seed stage companies over the last 12 years. A good example, you invested in Zoom 2011 before they were even had a product really, and that was coming out of a financial crisis or downturn. When you see these headlines crossing the Bloomberg terminal time and time again, Spotify 6% the latest, as somebody who invests in companies that actually may still be trying to hire, what's your reaction?
Well, I mean, nobody roots for a recession, but it's definitely good for the seed stage economy. The seed, I mean, you heard one of your prior guests talking about a crunch in seed. We see the opposite. We see that brand new company formations are booming, and it's become much easier to hire staff, to hire talent. We had a year ago what I would call a double whammy, that it was hard to hire people, and also these big companies were investing in some of these innovative projects. As they cut their investments, they leave room for competitors, and they put more talent on the street.
Spencer, we're delighted to have you in the studio, Caroline and I, while we're together in San Francisco. It feels like the story is not just playing out here, but the reason you're here is I tweeted over the weekend, hold on, is there anyone that's kind of actively trying to go out there and hire all these people? Because we do hear that, but we're looking for some concrete evidence that it's true. I mean, are you saying to your portfolio companies, hey, now's a great chance to get top talent?
Absolutely, and we have portfolio companies. We have one here in San Francisco called Zoom Transportation that runs electric school bus services for San Francisco and for Oakland and for Los Angeles and so forth. They're hiring. We have a recent company we funded called eBots that does assembly robots for electronics. They're hiring. Angle Health is hiring. Lots of our portfolio companies are hiring.
Yeah.
And a year ago, it was much more difficult for them.
It's interesting, and I suppose in many ways this is why the relentless headlines that we talk about, the tens of thousands being let go at Meta and the like, aren't showing up in the federal data, because many would say anecdotally they're snapped up very quickly. They get great severance and then they move on either to become a talent at Zoom, one of your new ventures, the transport company, or are they becoming entrepreneurs themselves? I'm yet to see any sort of charts on new business formation. Are you starting to hear from these people getting great severance packages? I know they probably want to remain at a company and employed, but if they are let go, are they willing to take on a risk and build something?
It's a huge point, and I think it's definitely fueling a lot of the entrepreneurial activity, because what you have is, as you said, folks who maybe have a little bit of money, they've gotten a severance, they've been doing very well over the last few years working for these larger companies, and in some cases, the Silicon Valley esprit and what's happening in San Francisco has always, so many people that you meet here, they have another startup going on the side, right?
Hustle.
So there are people who are, and so if you think about who's going to get laid off, some of these people maybe were not rated as the best employees by their big company employers because they were giving half of their time to the company and half of the time to their startup. So now you say, well, gee, I've got a little extra cash, I've got all my day free to work on my startup. Not a bad situation.
Is there an element that you're seeing this worldwide? Is this very much, where are the talent that you're currently hiring and seeing hiring from? Do people want to remain remote? Are you seeing some of your startups that are SF-based, hiring talent that are being let go in Austin, Miami? Where is this all going on at the moment?
It is much more remote than what it used to be. We've been in, I've been in Silicon Valley since the 1990s, and it was definitely, you'd set up a facility, everybody would come there. You even had, of course, companies like Facebook where they were relocated by their investors to Silicon Valley because the story was, oh yeah, we love you, but you can't do it from where you are. It's not so much a destination for companies. I think a lot of companies are formed here still, and the companies that are formed here have done so much more with remote talent. And some of it's offshore, more of it now is actually onshore, but outside of the area.
The conversation that Caroline keep having is that across the startup curve, the opportunity of 2023 is going to be seed stage, earlier stage investments, and actually it's the growth stage funds keeping their powder dry, even though they raised all that capital over the last 2 years. Is that a fair interpretation of where the industry sits?
Certainly, I think so. At TSVC, we do seed stage primarily, and we feel like the market's coming to us.
Because they need cash, or?
Well, the market's coming to us in the sense that it's just hard to make money at late stage right now. If you have a company that was overfunded at too high of a valuation a year or two ago, yes, you can do a down round. You can get a better price, but then the employees are not happy, so you lose momentum in the business. So even though you might normalize or rationalize the pricing of the company, that doesn't mean that it's going to take off and be successful. So I would hate to be writing $100 million checks right now. I think it's a difficult time.
What size checks are you writing?
We write $1 million checks into early companies. And you think about something like Zoom, there's a photograph, which I wish I had with us, but a photograph of the Zoom founder, Eric Yuan, 2 engineers in our offices in 2011. That was the company. It was himself and 2 engineers, a PowerPoint deck, right? Fantastic ambitions. Those are the kinds of folks that we're funding right now.
Tweet at us after the show. When you're done, send us a tweet.
Yeah.
And Ginkgo Bioworks and Carter, you haven't been a one-trick pony. TSVC managing partner, he's of course Spencer Green. What a joy having him right here in the studio with us. Nice tweeting from you, Ed, to get him on as well.